The Elden Ring sure is an elaborate design. It was shattered into shards by Queen Marika. Once we collect these shards, or great runes, we can see that they do collectively form the Elden Ring, along with the Rune of Death and Marika representing the crucifix, Radagon, the grid behind the ring, and rune arcs, shards of the lower arch that receive the Elden Ring's bounty. I believe they might be inspired by the various arcs formed by solar halos and similar optical phenomena. The sun, light, and shadow are prominent themes in all of Miyazaki's games, and this caustic light pattern caused by sun or starlight on a planet's atmosphere matches the layout of arcs in Elden Ring's logo. The symbol itself and the Golden Order emblems related to it are reminiscent of many ancient and modern religious symbols. The overlapping rings, the Vesica Pisces, Seed of Life, Celtic Knot, or Triquetra, triangular symmetry in Golden Order Principia, the hexagram Merkaba Shriyantra, Vector Equilibrium, Flower of Life, and Yahweh's Tree of Life, whereas the incantation sigil resembles the Celtic Tree of Life and, of course, the cross in its many variations. Their meanings, death, rebirth, growth, interconnectedness, divine structure or balance, the union of duality, masculinity, and femininity, are all themes we can see across Elden Ring. Within the ring itself, the most prominent feature, in my opinion, is this central portion of overlapping rings, the inner portion a triquetra, the outer two Vesica Pisces. The triquetra is based off of two Vesica Pisces. They're also the inspiration for the Jesus fish, otherwise known as the ichthys, an acronym for Jesus Christos Theo Huios Soter, Jesus anointed Son of God, Savior. Theta comes before epsilon here. That could easily be misinterpreted as God of Sun, but I'm sure you've all heard that one by now. Ichthys references a divine being, and Numen translates to divine will. In my last video, I compared Marika to ichneumon wasps, a wild suggestion, and in Dark Souls, the depiction we get is a hornet. Hymenoptera, in general, are associated with sacred geometry, likely because they build perfect hexagonal cells that they're born and metamorphose within. Though queen cells are not hexagonal, but rather these malformed, elongated cells with a very familiar texture and shape. While not the most common, it's used by the Catholic Church, Freemasons, and more, such as the School of Sol, where the bee represents the group working as a whole for the church, or the queen. In Deuteronomy 7:20 and Exodus 23:28, it says, God will send the hornet before you, a threat on behalf of the Israelites to the Canaanites and Hittites, who are from right next to Luca and Caria. And in Hebrew texts, the word used for hornet, tsirah, is widely debated due to Hebrew frequently changing around that time. It doesn't refer to insects, but rather radiance, light, scattering, alien, princess, departure, strange fire, rebellion, or rebellion pot. In Arabic, it simply translates to head. I also mentioned or implied how Mesmer might be inspired by Hippocrates, how ichneumon wasp larvae eat their way out of their hosts, and that horns are really just parasitic growths or galls. The golden hippopotamus guards the gate to Mesmer's keep, has a horn on their head, and several wounds that could be entry wounds from an ovipositor. Ati, an Egyptian goddess with the body of a hippopotamus and the head of a wasp, known to trample or sting people, may have been an inspiration here. The crucible's influence in the land of the shadow causes beasts to grow horns, despite their species. This could mean the crucible, the Erd tree in its primordial form, was already parasitic. Omen babies, infants with horns, have them cut off, but royalty are secretly allowed to keep them, which makes the Golden Order's stance on them ambiguous. But Morgoth is riddled with horns, and his great rune states, this proves two things. He was born of the golden lineage, and he was the Lord of Leyndell. And his rune is the anchor ring that houses the base. The Golden Order, the Elden Ring, and the Crucible horns sound entwined in some way. Omen horns are considered a curse. The Omen Baron attack, strengthened by the Dung Eater's Omen set. In Bloodborne, the Accursed Brew, with a very similar attack and design, is given by an NPC with virtually the exact same dialogue as the Dung Eater, only if you're a milkweed. Amygdala also shares this dialogue. Similar to the horns being excised from a child, a skull was forcibly searched for eyes, and the initial makings of internal eyes are almost certainly small parasites. This process is also pulled straight from the pages of the King in Yellow stories. Fitting that the Dung Eater spreads this curse with a seed bed, the bed of chaos that spawns parasitic insects in DS1 is also referred to as a seed bed. I'm getting off topic again. While the Vesica Pisces represents the Jesus fish, the triquetra represents the Holy Trinity, or the Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. Though in other belief systems, it's the Mother, Maiden, and Crone, mind, body, and spirit, or earth, wind, and water. When the Pisces lenses are horizontal, it symbolizes the interface between the physical and spiritual world. When vertical, divine glory, femininity, and fertility. It also has many mathematical applications, and was widely used in European architecture, particularly for mapping arched windows or door openings. The intertwined umbilical cord, cut content that was originally tied to Miquella's Age of Abundance ending, which was also cut, is knotted into a triquetra, or Celtic knot. This item may have been scrapped, but was originally an important part of the game's most elaborate quest line. In Bloodborne, you unlock the true ending by consuming 3 umbilical cords. This symbol appears all over the world in various cultures. Its first known appearance was in ancient Anatolia, otherwise known as Lucca, which was taken over by Caria. These Carians were referred to as cocks or roosters for their overly ornamental helmets, worshipped various lunar goddesses, and their dynast, Mausoleos, by mimicking or recreating Lucan's architecture, built their Mausoleum of Halicarnassus, similar to the area full of walking mausoleums which recreate your remembrances in Liurnia near Lucaria, where we also find statues of the Underworld's old dynast, who even resemble statues of the real Caria's dynast. There are several other examples of history from this area aligning with Elden Ring's lore as well. This symbol often represents 3 entities coexisting in harmony, is formed by 3 intersecting circles, or rather their Pisces lenses. Prominent in 3 religions, Christianity, paganism, and Buddhism, widely referenced in 3 topics, religion or mythology, history or anthropology, and science, mathematics, architecture, astronomy, and perhaps biology as well. Vesica Pisces translates to fish bladder, which references the internal air pocket used for buoyancy, not the fish's pee-pee bladder. A triquetra is also a type of organism that spawns near the surface of coastal waters, where earth, wind, and water meet. It's a golden algae flagellate, or ceratium. Known for their irregular horns, they produce golden blooms. Noctiluca is a similar species that cause glowing blue algal blooms resembling a night sky. There are also red and green species which can be highly toxic. These blooms often harm fish by suffocating the fish bladder, what the Vesica Pisces is named for. On top of the visual similarities, this could easily be used as a metaphor for a parasite within a divine entity. In virtually all mythologies, chaos is the root of the god's family tree. Miyazaki fittingly places the three fingers of chaos and the chaos bug in DS1 near the roots of their sacred tree. Many anthropologists theorize that common Roman or Greek mythologies didn't actually originate in Greece, but across the Aegean Sea in what was then known as Luca. The Luca is also the term for the last universal common ancestor, the root of the scientific tree of life or biology, which is also sometimes depicted as an eye or seed, similar to the various symbols found within the Elden Ring, though in its oldest depictions it resembles many golden flagellated algae. It's my theory that Miyazaki takes inspiration from these crossovers. He did say that one of his biggest influences on design philosophy was reading English texts as a child that he didn't fully understand and would fill in the blanks with his own imagination and the book's illustrations. It's likely that he saw homonyms, words that are spelled the same but have different meanings, in various topics, and the same symbols or very similar illustrations in various topics. This confusion led to him having a sort of homogenized concept of all these characteristics embodying one entity or symbol. Think historical figures that are associated with Greek gods who animals are named after, or small organisms that resemble great old ones. There are several examples of this. Imago is the term for the final stage of an insect, after metamorphosis or being reborn. It's also the Latin word for image, sometimes used in portrayals of gods, or refers to the image of God. The Migo are a fictional alien race created by Lovecraft who follow Shub, Nrath, and Hastur. Miyazaki's Murgo is a newborn Great One. We can't see Murgo, but the imagery and themes surrounding them match perfectly. Both of Lovecraft's parents suffered from mental illness, his father dying in an asylum, his mother after surgery. Though it's never been confirmed, their family history suggests it was syphilitic dementia, which can easily pass to a child in the womb or while nursing. He was also interested in biology and would have been aware of these microorganisms and their role. The madness induced by eldritch horrors and great old ones may have always been inspired from a congenital disease, or what are essentially formless parasites. Typhon is a Greek god who is half serpent and was raised by Python, a medieval-style dragon. His mate was Echidna, a half-woman, half-serpent, who is the daughter of Faunus in Orphic texts, but Gaia in others. Ramana is found right by Mesmer and Gaius. Echidna's snake half sometimes has 100 heads, which would correlate with a centipede alteration. Echidnas are also a species of quill-covered mammal, resembling the golden hippopotamus or crucible thorns, who eat burrowing insects like centipedes, while snakes are a predator of their newborns. Merica is of the same stock as giant ants, according to Newman runes. The mimic veil blends you with your surroundings and is known as Merica's mischief. Ant mimicry is the process of insects blending in with ant larvae, either through similar appearance or releasing chemicals, in order to live in their nest, which makes them what some scientists refer to as a cuckoo species. A prime example of this being the Lycianid butterfly larva. The ichneumon umerus wasp will then confuse the colony with her own chemical soup and invade the nest to lay their eggs specifically in the Lycianid butterfly larva, who are named for William Elford Leach, who also put centipedes, butterflies, and crabs in their correct classifications, not for Lycia, the area previously known as Luca or Caria, which translates to she-wolf in Latin, similar to the Lycian Apollo, who was created by Praxiteles. While the Lycian Apollo is associated with wolves, it's named for the writer Lucian, describing how it looked in the Lyceum, a gymnasium in Athens. Ranni the witch resides at the Three Sisters, and altered her fate by stealing destined death. Reminiscent of the Moirai, the three sisters of fate, destiny, and death. The Fingers, Preceptor Saluvis, and Radon through Holding Back the Stars all attempt to control Ranni's fate, but all of them fail. She also resembles Hecate, the triple moon goddess who the actual Carians worshipped. Hecate is usually depicted with 4 arms, like Ranni, and 3 heads. Ranni has 2. I'd imagine the third is the body she discarded at the Divine Tower of Liurnia. Hecate is often embodied by dogs, whereas Ranni has wolves, but dogs from 2500 BC would have been very wolf-like. Sundogs are also the term for the outer glares caused by the previously mentioned solar arcs intersecting with their corresponding halos, sometimes resembling 2 extra suns. When this happens with moonlight, they're called moondogs. Each only occur near dawn or dusk, and often resemble twin suns or moons sinking into the horizon. Ranni is associated with the dark moon, similar to Gwyndolin in DS1, god of the dark moon and sun. Gwyndolin has serpent-like tentacles in lieu of legs, and while his crown resembles the sun, when you wear it, it takes the form of an amygdalin head from Bloodborne. Very Lovecraftian characteristics. Fitting for the god of the dark moon and dark sun, those are key features in Carcosa, in Eldritch or Lovecraftian mythos that's actually made up of works from several authors. Though most works on Carcosa are by an author who's also a painter, and it's home to the King in Yellow. Outside of Gwyndolin's room is the painted world where the Xanthus, meaning yellow, king invades us.
What foolishness!
Carcosa borders Ithil, and in the sequel, Irithyll has manifested below Gwyndolin's room and the painted world. Midra is an obvious example in Elden Ring's DLC. There's also references to taking a vow before the Elder Throne, or an alien constellated dreamscape. You awaken after taking a vial of some dread opiate. The architecture is Gothic or rough-hewn stone, and Bayeki, black-winged demonic creatures, descend from the cosmic gulf. The Carcosa mythos is also known for the yellow sign, which curses people with madness after they see it. Often depicted as a warped Triskelion, the yellow sign doesn't actually have any determined shape, and isn't to be confused with H.P. Lovecraft's Elder Sign, which is often confused with August Derleth's Elder Sign. Miyazaki did say in multiple interviews that these works were inspirations on his design process. While Ranni shares Gwendolyn's affiliation with the Dark Moon, she doesn't possess these blatant Lovecraftian features. Gwendolyn was born a boy, but raised a girl by his father Gwyn. Within the Carcosa mythos, there is a side character, only appearing on one page. A boy who is misinterpreted as a girl, named Ren because his mother always calls him Ranni. All Ranni does is state he won't go back home, wriggles out of a stranger's arms during an unwanted embrace, plays with a toy boat covered in stars. Frustrated with Ranni or Ren's stubborn attitude, their nurse raised their hand to heaven. Ranni the witch, who first introduces herself as Renna, leaves her home, both the tower and the lands between, refuses to acquiesce or submit to the two fingers embrace, and ushers in the Age of Stars. Her quest ends in the Cathedral of Manus Celeste, which means Hand of Heaven or Heavenly Hand. Ren is also the French word for queen, and Ranni or Renna is next in line to be queen. A toy boat might seem out of place because she's associated with the stars or outer space, but within Miyazaki's lore, the cosmos and, as Mikolash puts it, the Grand Lake of Mud, are pseudo-synonymous. And the various constellations which inspired the mythology I've been referencing were often used for nautical navigation. The two interconnected Vesica Pisces symbolize these crossovers, with one of the circles lowered to represent how they've been slightly altered with Miyazaki's own creative input, and how these concepts are eclipsing one another. Radagon's golden grid, symbolic of finding order within this chaos. That's my theory anyway. What do you think? Is this absolute nonsense? Am I overlooking an obvious inspiration? Let me know down below.